Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 1270. Visiting. On the ship, Sea God, the members of the City of Silver, like Lievel, Candace, and other City of Silver scouts, were seated on chairs that didn't suit their size. They watched the dwarfs around them warily. Of course, they knew that these were normal humans. After all, they all knew that their exaggerated heights were brought about by potions, but they still felt that the people on the ship were too short, including Lord Danitz, who called himself an oracle. After all, in the City of Silver, other than children, the residents who had yet to reach Sequence 6 had an average height exceeding 1.8 meters. Among them, there were no lack of Sequence 9 beyonders who were more than 2 meters tall. The slight sway of the boat made the half-giants feel somewhat uncomfortable, but their strong physique helped them quickly overcome this influence. And the contrast between the sea and the lone boat beyond the window made them unable to contain their unease, fear, and anxiety. It was like the first time they participated in an expedition. The surroundings seemed to have monsters lurking in the darkness that could attack them at any moment. At that moment, Danitz entered the room that had been transformed into a dining mess. He smiled at the tall, wary, cautious, strangely dressed people who sat stiffly and said, "Your food is ready. Next, you can enjoy your food as you please. By the way, don't forget what I told you just now. These waters are very dangerous. There's no need to get up. You can stay in your seats." When Danitz saw that the young elder who introduced himself as Derek, and the other half-giants, wished to get up and speak to him in the most polite manner, he hurriedly lowered his hands and stopped their uncivilized behavior. "If I was as tall as them, I would have already begun mocking the people around me," Danitz muttered as he clapped his hands, signaling the crew to send the food in. A strong fragrance immediately drilled into the noses of Derek and the other residents of the City of Silver. It was the scent that they were familiar with when roasting meat-type mushrooms, but there was an additional indescribable smell. It was rather strange and slightly stimulating. The smell was so alluring that Lievel, Candace, and the rest began to have saliva secrete from their mouths as their stomachs churned to attention. "Desi-style roasted meat," Danitz said as he pointed at a crew member who walked in. He held a large steel plate that had a piece of roasted golden brown piece of meat that glistened with oil. Evenly spread across its surface were fennel, basil, and other spices. "Steak, pan-fried fish, white bread, seafood soup, and light beer." Danitz introduced each and every dish, smiling when he was done. "Don't worry about anything. Feel free to indulge. We have plenty of food reserves." With that said, he glanced at the half-giants, who seemed eager to stand up. Then, he left the room chuckling. The short-haired Candace retracted her gaze from the food with great difficulty, and swallowed her saliva. "Elder Derek, what do we do now?" Although Derek believed that Mr. Fool's oracle wouldn't harm them, he habitually gave a very cautious opinion. "Split into 2 groups. One group is to wait for their turn to eat. One team is to eat now." "All right, Elder Derek." Candace suddenly stood up. "I applied to join the food-tasting team." A group of 10 people quickly formed. At the same time, Lievel and Candace walked to the long table near the wall, and they took a portion of what they found the most tempting, the so-called Desi roasted meat. After taking a bite, the rich juices, the fragrance, and pure meat mixed in the texture formed a complex and unique experience in their mouths. They could only chew twice before swallowing the food ravenously into their stomachs so as to take a second bite. This was many times more delicious than the meat-type mushrooms they had eaten previously. Unknowingly, the 10 residents of the City of Silver were already eating with tears in their eyes, their vision blurred. On the deck, Danitz looked at the safe sea route in the ruins of the Battle of Gods. He considered how to settle the problems of Mr. Fool's flock. Suddenly, a sailor ran over and panted. "Lord Oracle, they've already finished eating. They want seconds. Where did these guys come from?" Danitz was taken aback. "Prepare another set for them." Seeing that the sailor was about to turn around, Danitz quickly added, "From tomorrow onwards, the crew is to begin fishing." In the Sonia Sea, on an uninhabited island, Klein had gotten used to his current state, and he restrained his spirituality. He planned on teleporting, back to Backland and summoning the magic mirror, Rhodes, to ask some questions. He wasn't in a hurry to extract the residents of Moon City to the outside world. He planned on waiting for Danitz to settle down the City of Silver's vanguard unit. With sufficient experience, he could turn his attention to this matter. After all, the path to leaving the forsaken land of the gods had been opened. He could use the method of responding to prayers, and rely on the power of the Staff of the Stars to move all of Moon City out. Of course, if the door closed once again, Klein also had a solution. He would first transfer the residents of Moon City to the Giant King's residence, and let them open the door themselves. Without the first blasphemy slate and the Dark Angel evil spirit, ordinary Beyonders would be able to open the door. As for whether the true Creator would interfere or stop him, Klein didn't consider it. This was because the Sequence Zero true God was capable of doing so now. He wasn't able to stop him, even if he was disagreeable to it. In addition, Klein believed that the focus of the true Creator wasn't placed on this matter. His most pressing concern was to capture Amon and retrieve the first blasphemy slate. Strictly speaking, this is a family drama, Klein lampooned inwardly. He grabbed creeping hunger from the air, and he wore the sealed artifact that had accompanied him for a long time on his left palm. His body quickly turned transparent and disappeared. In the saturated and stacked spirit world, Klein rapidly moved through the indescribable figures as he approached the coordinates that represented Backland. Suddenly, he came to a stop and stood in the chaotic void, looking at the 7 pure lights that occupied the highest spot in the spirit world. Previously, due to my low sequence, I didn't dare wander the spirit world. Nor did I attempt to visit the 7 lights that had shown their kindness towards me. Now, it seems it's time we meet. They're the embodiments of all kinds of knowledge, and they've lived in the spirit world for countless years. They might know quite a bit of secrets. Just as Klein finished his thoughts, a light suddenly appeared in front of him. An elder in an orange robe appeared. This old man was plump and had a short white beard. He looked very amiable. He looked at Klein and nodded with a smile. "Your Excellency, please allow me to introduce myself. You should remember me. I am Orange Light Hilarion. The last time I saw you, you were very thin." As Klein lampooned, he asked with a smile, "You seem to have predicted that I would visit you." Hilarion didn't hide anything as he smiled frankly. "The spirit world itself is interwoven with all sorts of information. Some come from the past, some come from the present, and some indicate a certain future. Whether it's divination or prophecy, most of the methods are actually using the spirit world, followed by the prying into the secrets of fate." What Orange Light meant was that since Klein was in the spirit world and had the intention of visiting, and was prepared to take action to do so, there would definitely be a corresponding exchange of information. This allowed the 7 lights who controlled the spirit world to a certain extent to sense it and make a prophecy. Klein wasn't surprised at all. He nodded slightly and said, "Other than you, who else wants to meet me?" He had originally planned on using honorifics, but considering the 7 lights' attitude and the way Orange Light addressed him, he gave up on this plan, so as to maintain the status of the proxy to Sapphira Castle. Orange Light Hilarion immediately smiled and said, "All of them. Your Excellency, you don't mind, do you?" Klein shook his head and replied politely, "Of course. It will be my honor." As soon as he finished speaking, different colors of light rose up around Hilarion, transforming into different old men. "Your Excellency, please allow me to do the introductions." When Orange Light saw Klein nod, he pointed at an elder in a red robe and said, "He is Red Light Iyer Moria, the one who previously answered my question." Klein immediately smiled and showed his gratitude and friendliness. In turn, Hilarion introduced Yellow Light Venethin, Blue Light Kuthumi, Green Light Serapis, Indigo Light Jesus, and Violet Light Saint Germain. Yellow Light Venethin. Is this the one who made an apocalyptic prophecy regarding the Abraham's ancestor? Klein looked at the thin, long-bearded elder in a lemon yellow robe and said with a smile, "Let's sit down and have a chat." As he spoke, he raised his right hand. Dark red flames lit up in the surrounding area. It came from a fireplace burning high-quality charcoal. These flames immediately lit up a reclining chair, a grayish-yellow carpet, cupboards, sofas, coffee tables, cast sculptures, white porcelain teacups, and other items, forming a classic Backlund-styled activity room. "Please take a seat." Klein faced the 7 lights as he smiled and pointed at the sofa and high-backed chairs. After the 7 lights settled down, Klein sat on the reclining chair, picked up a teacup, and said in a natural tone, "To be honest, I've always wanted to pay a visit to all 7 of you, but I couldn't find a chance. Now, I've finally fulfilled this wish. This has also been our wish." Orange Light seemed to be the brightest and most outgoing person among the 7 lights. He immediately responded on behalf of all his companions. I have the feeling that I've fulfilled someone's wish." Klein was delighted as he probed. "Might I ask, what do you know about the cosmos, or should I say, the great old ones and outer deities?" Indigo-like Jesus, who wore a linen robe and looked relatively young, answered seriously. "Your Excellency, the great old ones eyeing our world are Mother Goddess of Depravity, Mother Tree of Desire, Son of Chaos, Primordial Hunger, Ring of Comeuppance, Supernova Dominator, Inextinguishable Ravings, Monarch of Decay, and High-Dimensional Overseer. Isn't that a little too many?" Klein was a little stunned when he heard that.